Welcome to California Virtual Family Law Attorney with founder Linda Garrett.
Hello and welcome to California Virtual Family Law Attorney with Linda C. Garrett. My name is Kevin Rosenquist. Thanks so much for joining us today. You know, ending a marriage is never easy, and if you're unsure whether you need a divorce or might qualify for a legal separation, you're definitely not alone. Today we're going to break down what those two terms really mean, how they're different, and whether one might be a better fit for your situation. Linda, welcome back. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Same to you. And hello, everyone out there.
Hello, world. All right. Well, so what is the difference between a legal separation and a divorce?
Well, we have to ask another question that's embedded in that, because a lot of the calls that I get are people thinking, oh, I'm separated. And as a legal doctor, I say legally separated or just separated. They go like, well, what's the difference? Huge difference. So let's start with that first is what is legal separation in the context of separation. So, and that's what the readers or the viewers should know. There is a huge difference. So number one is a legal separation akin to a divorce is as follows. So first, in a legal separation, I tell people it's resolving with the court the issues A through Y. The Z is the ring on the finger. The divorce is issues A through Z. So they say, oh, okay, now I get it. But we got to go back a bit, because the question is, am I separating? Am I already separated? And that's where they're confused. And so a separation is defined by Family Code, California Family Code 70. And this is just my wording for it, but it's a final and complete break of the marriage as demonstrated by a clear communication to the other party. And that conduct from that moment forward is consistent throughout to the very end.
Okay.
Which is usually either the Y or the Z. And that's where people have to, and I work with them to figure that out, because then they're surprised that what they thought was data separation is not. So the importance of data separation is a whole nother conversation. But we start with just knowing that, are you separated or wanting to be legally separated? So they say, well, I think I want to be legally separated. And then I'll say, what's the reason? And they're not always sure, but the number one that might come up is religion. And they'll say, well, my religion doesn't allow me to get divorced, so we're separating. And so I say, okay, well, then that would be the A through Y. Everything is separated out, even property division, the child support, the spouse support, everything. And so then they're like, fine with that. Now the question becomes, believe it or not, what are the other reasons somebody might want to file for legal separation? Is one, financial. Let's say your wife, sorry, Kevin, your wife has cancer, and you're the guy again. We're making
All right, I'll be the guinea pig.
Yeah, and so for you listeners and viewers, he's kind of my guinea pig, explaining these things. So your wife has cancer, and you want a divorce, and she says, "Well, if you divorce me in California, I'm going to lose your insurance, because we get free insurance through your employer." And you're like, ugh, right? So that's one reason, is that maybe a spouse is sick and they might lose their much needed health insurance, and they disqualify for any health insurance because they also don't have a job and they want to stay on your health insurance. And so, as a side note, footnote, that's something to negotiate. Oh, well, you want spousal support as well? Let's discuss that. And so, but to the point again, is that it would be for medical reasons to keep the person on the health insurance. Another one might be financial. A lot of elderly couples who get divorced may lose some coverage. So, for example, if you're a veteran and you have disability insurance, your spouse, you get more income because you're married. But if you get divorced, you lose that income and you're disabled, and every penny counts.
Right.
So that would be another reason. So financial, medical, religion. But short of that, if somebody says, well, are there any of those three? And they're like, nope. I go, then why not get the ring off the finger? Like, let me think about that. I'll call you back. So did that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
No, it answered it really well. And I always love when you make me out to be such a bad dude. Like now I'm divorcing my cancer-ridden wife. That's great.
You are.
Great.
Yes.
You know, timing is everything. You know,
It's everything. Yeah.
So are there specific situations that make a legal separation possible or not possible?
Yes. Excellent question, Kevin. So let's say let's say your wife wants you to not divorce her, says, well, let's do the legal separation. And so then you're like, wait, I want to get married to this girl who's 21 and she's really hot that I met at a nudist colony and I can't
Why
get
am I
married to
always?
her.
Do you have to go that
Ah,
far, Linda? It
well,
doesn't have
guess
to
what?
be a
I get
21-year-old nudist.
well, I can make her 18. At least she can vote, or she's old enough to drink.
All
So,
right, fine. At least
but
I
but
could
the
stop
but
by
the
her,
thing of it
having to
is,
buy her drinks under the table. Yeah. All right. Well.
but I
Anyway.
get, but Kevin, I get those phone calls. That's the
Do you?
point. These are not pie in the sky what ifs. These are like actual calls that I receive. But I don't want to be married to this person, and that's a reality. So what happens with the wife who's got cancer who needs your insurance, and the husband who's like, "Ugh, I want to get rid of this woman, my wife. I want to get married. I want to start fresh. My Maserati, the 21-year-old. And guess what? Wife can't stop it.
Yeah.
So the thing about legal separation, it's got to be a mutual agreement. On divorce in California, you don't. Just one party. Doesn't matter what the other party says because we are called a no-fault state. You don't like her nail polish? Divorce her. Don't like her perfume? Divorce her. Literally. If you don't like anything and you want to be single, there's nothing your wife with the cancer who's older with wrinkles and a few pounds is going to do to stop that. Now, she can be your wife from my perspective. I've seen your wife and she's hot. She's healthy. She's otherwise except for the cancer, she looks great. Fantastic. But nonetheless, you Kevin want to divorce her and the bottom line is your wife can't stop it. That's the
Okay.
caveat. It's got to be mutual.
Okay. That makes sense. Is it cheaper to do the legal separation? Is it quicker?
$1 million question. Yes, it depends. There's always with lawyers and doctors, there's always the depends. And the ultimate question doesn't come down to which option's better. Literally, it could be divorce or separation. That's not the core question. The question comes down to, do we communicate well? Do we have agreements? So you can say, yeah, I'll stay with, okay. Kevin says, okay, fine, I'll stay with you. My girl's really young still. I've got many years with her. She's not going anywhere. Let's stay legally separated until 5 or 10 years. I'm willing to sacrifice that. I'm willing to do that. And so that's fine. So you've reached that agreement, but then we now have the issues of there might be the child support issue, the spousal support, the property division, all these things. And so if you two are not communicating, guess what? You're not resolving these issues. And so you're coming to us attorneys. Well, I'm scared he won't do this and he won't do that and he won't do this. And I want to go to court again on an emergency hearing of blah, 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 blah. Those are the expensive ones. And so that applies not just to divorces, but also legal separation because we still have to resolve those issues. So I would say this, the question is not the type, but whether two things I always, when I interview, yes, it's interview potential clients for me is what's the communication scale like from a 0 to 10? The lower the number, like 0, 1, 2, 3, oosh, expensive, and oosh, this is going to take a long time because they don't communicate very little and they don't agree on anything. Now we do that number like 8 or 9 or 10, and 10 is like, oh, we love each other, best friends, kumbaya. But we got married when we were 18. We're now in our 40s. We want to live our life. Great. That marriage, whether it's 40 years, 50 years, they're going to get that resolved, all those issues within a day. Technically speaking, they can get this done, not the process done, but they can reach agreements on everything and when they do. So if they do that, whether it's a legal separation or divorce, the minimum they can get divorced is 6 months, but can they resolve issues in a weekend? Sure. And then they just wait out the 6 months and voila. On the divorce side, they're divorced. On the legal separation side, we're done. Voila. No legal fees or minor legal fees or costs.
You know, it's funny. It's kind of a side note. The religion example that you gave, it feels like it feels like you're skirting your religion there a little bit, right? I'm not judging anybody.
I was not gonna say that out loud. But
not judging anybody, just like,
yeah, exactly. Like I
Yeah.
want to be legally separated because of religious reasons. I'm like, okay, well, let's
All
discuss
right.
that.
Still
Then
ending
I
a
roll my
marriage,
eyes.
really, but
Yeah.
whatever works. Whatever
Yeah.
works. Are there major legal or financial consequences that people might overlook when choosing legal separation instead of a divorce?
Well, I would say that's in the what if world. So I would say to start maybe no, but where I can see an issue coming up, that might prolong this process, for example, is when they don't agree on date of separation. Because even though they're separated, let's see, in a legal separation, that's a good question. Well, I would say even in a legal separation, there's some exceptions, but within a legal separation, the question becomes, how much does your wife get? I'll call her Nancy. How much does Nancy get of your pension? And usually in a divorce situation, you calculate from date. It's a time rule. We have this rule where number of years married as a numerator divided by the number of years with the employer. So if you worked at Chevron for 20 years, and of those 20 years, you were married for 10, the community, that's you and Nancy, gets 50%. Then divided in half between the two of you is 25%. So we have a cutoff. In a legal separation, I would imagine that's going to be the same thing, because we're trying to divide everything. So how much does Nancy get of my pension? And so where we see sometimes issues with you, and we'll call her Tiffany, the 21-year-old, is that when were you separated? And so we use our family law code 70. Was there clear communication of a final and complete break of the marriage? And when was that? For you, it might be X date. For your wife, it might be another date. But what happens, for example, is somebody won the lottery, $1 million. And husband might say, Kevin, well, no, I won that after I was already dating Tiffany. So that's my money from my separate property income. And Nancy says, well, no, I didn't know you were cheating on me. I just found out the other day. So no, that money is ours. And so then they could have a trial set out months in advance on 3 days of trial. I mean, that's not a rule, as an example of just the issue of data separation. So in other words, yeah, we can have divorce or legal separation and have even just one issue, just the one, take months, if not years, literally years. I once had a case many years ago in San Francisco, and there was a trial, and it took years to have this trial because there was so much at stake on a legal separation.
Either one of these processes able to be navigated without a lawyer? I mean, is a legal separation a little easier? Can you do it without a lawyer, or is it really just kind of like a divorce? It really helps to have one.
That's a very good question. So, as of the recording of this podcast episode, I've been practicing family law for 24 years in California. And one thing I have learned is that we can have the same parties per se, the same courthouse, the same lawyers, if need be or not, the same facts, the same assets. And it ultimately comes down to, do the parties agree or not? Now, to your question, do they need an attorney? The question is really goes deeper, because what is the need? Need representation? And that's what they think. They're saying, oh, I need an attorney. But my experience of decades, I guess you can say, comes down to, it's not always a need, it's a want. That need sometimes is, if not a want, it's also a fear. And I have found from my practice, including coaching, which I think I've told you in the past, I do a lot of legal coaching and family law, is that the person that I'm talking to many times doesn't even know the law. They just assume, well, I'm the mom, so I'm going to get the kids, right? Like, not necessarily. And many times it's the dad. And so what I try to do is, on a need basis, is maybe give 1 hour of coaching, which I take so much pride in, because it untangles or it unclogs the drain, if you will. Because if my client knows the law, her rights and her risks, she might be, okay, let me go back to my husband and maybe we'll talk some more. Great. And then guess what? They've resolved the issue. Because she thought by law she would automatically get the kid. I said, well, no, if you're going to be living in a car, living your best life, and you've got 3 kids and dad's at home and the kids have their place and they've got school and all these things, it's not going to work out that way. So if dad goes to court, you're probably going to lose.
Right.
Oh, so I go, you might want to work with them. So the need is, I just define need differently, because sometimes need means they just need understanding of the law and applying it to their facts, and what are the benefits and the risks if they do go to court. So that's how we define need. And sometimes, at the very least, they do need an understanding of the law as relates to their facts. And that can be done with the coaching.
Yeah.
Many times.
All right. What do you wish more people understood about the legal system when trying to end a marriage?
That is a loaded question. I wish they would know it's not TV's version of the law.
Yeah.
Like, Your Honor, it's not fair. Hold up, Your Honor. Someone's calling me. Oh, Your Honor. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that
Mm-hmm.
kind of TV. In court, when I go to court, the judge looks tired. Everyone in the hallway is just like they woke up. The people are stressed out. And then more times than not, this judge has seen it all. He's heard it all, or she has heard it all. And you'd be surprised that people think they're going to get what they want because they think they're the man or who makes more money or the wife who took care of the kids. And so what I feel that they don't understand, and I might be going off on a tangent here, is that the law in family law in California is very slow because the courts don't want people to haphazardly move to the next step, because we're breaking up, if not destroying, from the court's perspective, a family. We have children who don't have a say. They're confused. Why is daddy not here? Why is mommy drinking and crying? It's a very, I get the chills. Whoosh. It's a very volatile, emotionally driven area of law. And I'd say the most of any area. I dare any attorney to challenge me. We'll go to town on that one. It's extremely emotional because we're dealing with so many core issues, including things like what I call the white elephants, the angry spouse, the revengeful spouse. Oh, well, you're never going to see our kids again because you went off with Tiffany. That stuff comes in. And so emotions, people don't understand that emotions tend to drive the course of their divorce. And the cases are not going to settle in a day, a week, one hearing. Like, you go to TV land and everything's done. You watch Kramer versus Kramer from the 1970s. And so it's just a matter of not realizing that the real life version of law in family law in court is not what you see on TV. It's just like when we were younger and we saw parents, it looked easy, right? Then you become a parent, like, oh, why didn't anybody ever tell me it was this and that and this and that? And so I think that's just, they don't understand there's more to it, and that they're not going to be so quick to fool a judge. In fact, I was just a little side story. I was at a trial yesterday on domestic violence in my county. And even though we got the other side to agree that wives should have 5 years of restraining orders. Yes, 5 years is extreme. She violates the temporary orders. This judge, even though we had an agreement, myself, all four parties agreed. The judge said, no, I'm giving only 3 years. I go, but Your Honor, we have an agreement. No, Ms. Garrett, it's going to be 3 years. Thank you, Your Honor. So
why?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because they agreed to it, everybody. But that's the point. Even
there's
though
enough
you
things
think,
people don't agree on. Why mess with that?
I mean, right. If you've got four people all agreeing to 5 years, yeah, this woman has anger issues. Whoosh, anger issues. The judge said, no, 3 years. I go, but Your Honor, we have an agreement. They're right here. Our judge said no. So that's the thing. So you think you planning, God laughs. And even when you think it's a guarantee, four people all agreeing, you still have a judge who would say no, 3 years. Thank you, Your Honor. Whatever you say. They're like, what the?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just that. It's not what people think it is. And that's
different
why.
than the way it's perceived.
Yeah. And throughout these podcast episodes, you'll always hear me say about the coaching. It's not it, and it's serving to me a way of service to others, is that it's just so expensive. People just don't get how family law works. And they spend thousands, in the six figures even, to litigate their family law case because they feel they're right. And sometimes it's just a matter of knowing the law on day one.
Yeah.
Know the day separation in advance. So you don't have to go to trial, have experts, have proof and all these things. Just here's the definition. Do you know that before? Like, no. Does it matter? Like, of course it does.
Very much
That's
so.
the law. Duh. I don't say it that way, of course. I say, well, I understand. But behind me, like, duh.
Yeah, you don't want to say that to their face.
Yes, I keep the poker face as much as possible.
Yeah, well, good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thanks for joining us today. If you're navigating a separation or just trying to understand your options, Linda offers free initial consultations and community legal resources. You can find more information on her website, lindacgarrettlaw.com. No matter your budget, you deserve clarity and support. Don't forget to like our channels, subscribe to our channel, like our videos, review us. We very much appreciate it. And we got lots more stuff coming your way. Linda, always great chatting with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.